that just means that breakfast may need to come out of a bowl and into a bag, you know. So to me, you can get milk that's in a box, you know, sort of ready to go, that can be chilled in the refrigerator. You can put cereal in a bag, whole grain cereal in a bag. And again, you're going to keep that healthy breakfast and just take it on the road with you. It might alter the kind of fruit. You may not have a cut up banana, but you might have a handful of grapes. You know, those things work out really well. And it doesn't take any more time to fix, and your kids can have it in the car when you're driving them to, you know, soccer practice or whatever their activities are for the summer. And that's also an opportunity for parents to remember they need to eat well too.
Right.
You know, and this not only keeps your kids eating a healthy diet, but it also may be continuing that effort to prevent childhood obesity as well. You know, again, that breakfast eaters do better in school, but they're also at a healthier body weight. Same thing with cereal eaters. You know, they are also at a healthier body weight.
What about the pace of your eating? I know that I tend to often scarf down my food even when I have plenty of time to eat. And I don't know where that habit came from, but how do you prevent your kids from scarfing down their food to get to their activity, or allowing plenty of time to eat? And what suggestions do you have for that?
Well, that's where something like, well, you want to look at the size of the meal and how long it's going to really take to eat. Now, most kids can eat a meal reasonably comfortably in 20 minutes, but something that's a breakfast is often eaten a lot more quickly. But that doesn't mean it has to be rushed. But, you know, 6 or 7 minutes to eat a bowl of cereal and milk is probably acceptable. It's not too rushed a pace. So now you can certainly take longer, and I think that if you have the time, terrific. I think it's a great time to, if you have 15 minutes, that's a good time to actually spend with your kids. We actually sat down to family breakfast, and it wasn't for a very long period of time in the morning, but we did it, and it was a great way to start the day and set a certain structure, let kids know what they're going to be doing, let them know what time you'll be home, let them know what's expected of them, because that's also part of good parenting and good training. And it's a great sort of a foundation to set with your kids. Now, if you have a little bit more time at dinner time, great. I think it's a good idea to relax, engage in a lot of conversation, encourage your kids to participate in conversation, and that not only stretches the meal out and it keeps people from rushing through a meal, but it also helps kids get more out of the family meal, and it helps parents to get more out of their kids, which is what a family meal is supposed to be about.
Right. Now, how are we doing in DC as far as childhood obesity rates?
And childhood obesity is a problem in DC like it is in every other major city in the country. You know, so but there is recent research and a recent survey of DC parents that showed that about 3 out of every 4 think that healthy food is important to healthy weight. So that's good. And it also, about nearly all of them, I think it was like 97%, think that breakfast is important. So I really like that. I'm a huge breakfast fan. I would skip any meal but breakfast. I mean, I don't like to skip meals, but breakfast, never. Okay, it's just not a good thing. But also, the DC parents had it right when they, like 3 out of 4 of them said that you know, they think that breakfast is tied to a healthy weight, and that they want to serve breakfast to their kids as well. You know, the idea of breakfast and breakfast consumption is hitting home a lot more, but I like the idea that it's tied to, breakfast consumption is tied to healthy body weight. You're not going to go wrong fixing a breakfast, and it doesn't have to be a production, you know, it really doesn't, but it's truly the most important meal of the day. And if you miss breakfast, you don't tend to make up those calories or those nutrients at other times in the day, because breakfast is such a nutrient-rich meal. When you think about the combination of whether we'll take the breakfast I just mentioned, you know, a whole grain cereal and fruit and milk. That's covering 3 gaps in most people's diets, and it's providing a huge amount of nutrition, but not a lot of calories. And that's why it's so nutrient rich. Okay, you're getting so much nutrition with very few calories. You know, that's maybe a 250 calorie meal, but it's got up to a third of your daily requirement for many nutrients. So you're really talking about a very good bang for the buck.
And now, if you skip breakfast, is it true that your metabolism will be off for the day, or is?
Well, I'll tell you, if you skip breakfast, it means that your next meal may be at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and you may have eaten dinner. Their previous meal is 6 o'clock in, you know, the previous day, which means you're going about 18 to 20 hours really without eating anything, and your metabolism over time does slow down. So it's really not a good idea on any level. But also, with kids who don't eat breakfast, they tend to get hungry later on. If your kids are in school, you'll find that actually teachers like it when kids eat breakfast because there are fewer complaints of stomach aches, fewer visits to the school nurse. fewer missed days from school when kids eat breakfast. And we don't want kids missing school. That means the parents have to stay home and care for kids who are not feeling good. And when the truth is, what they probably need is just some breakfast to fill up the tummy.
Right.
So it really works on a lot of levels there. But breakfast food doesn't always have to be breakfast food. You can have dinner leftovers for breakfast, and you can have cereal and milk and fruit for dinner. And when in hot weather areas of the country in the summertime, that's not a bad idea, especially if you get home a little bit later and things and you want a meal right away and you don't want something too heavy. Hey, bowl of whole grain cereal and milk and some fresh fruit, cool. That's a way to flip dinner and breakfast and have actually kids go to sleep with not feeling so full.
Right. It could be fun.
I think it's actually
Breakfast
good.
for dinner.
Breakfast for dinner works out really well.
Great. Now, how do you need to make sure that your kids are getting everything they need, including their activities?
Well, I'll tell you, in terms of getting kids everything they need, you don't want to get into a numbers game, but you want to focus on probably three things. I mentioned getting kids enough fruits and vegetables, which means basically as many as you can get into them. There's a minimum for most kids, about say 10 of age or older, at least 2 cups of fruits and vegetables a day, but more if you can do it. 3 glasses of low-fat or fat-free milk, or the equivalent in yogurt, or an ounce of cheese, things like that. So that can count as well. And you want to get 3 servings of whole grain food. Now, it could be bread, it could be whole grain pasta, but whole grain cereal is a great way to go. And if they don't get a whole grain at breakfast time, they probably won't make that requirement. Most people don't. Most people are only getting about 1/3 of the amount of whole grains that they need to get in their diet. So those are 3 focuses that I tell parents to focus on. And then don't worry as much about the calories. If they get those things, remember those fruits and vegetables take up a lot of volume but not a lot of calories, and they can be pushing out a lot of those less than healthy sort of snacks that kids might choose to snack on. So if you have fruit and low-fat dairy, and even I like eating cereal out of a bag, just sort of munching. It's actually much better than a lot of snacks that kids could have. So consider it as an option. And if you do that, plus try to aim for 60 minutes of physical activity a day. And it doesn't have to be all at one time. Mix it up. Your kids may like skiing, but it's not an option in the summer for most people.
Right.
So, have a number of activities that they like to do, and it doesn't need to be organized sports. And that's really important for kids who are overweight, or if kids who were just uncoordinated like I was, and I was always the last one picked on the team. So organized sports were just not done for me. So, but there are things that everybody can do, and it doesn't have to be anything more complicated than going for walks. Sometimes creating errands, going to the store and back is a good way to do it. Or going for family hikes, planning your leisure activities around physical activity outside, not a screen inside. Screen time, physical activity is important, but so is limiting screen time. So 2 hours a day on any screen is enough for kids. Then turn them loose and have them do other activities, whether they're playing games or shooting hoops outside in the garage, or just playing with their friends outside. It doesn't always have to be organized.
Great. And where can we go for more information?
Well, I'll tell you, for general nutrition information, you can go to the American Dietetic Association website, eatright.org, or for information on whole grains, you can go for cerealbenefits.com, or for fruit and vegetable information, go to produceforbetterhealth.org.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your time. It was nice meeting you.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
Thank you.